I was actually super worried that this chapter was going to be a transition chapter and be way more kind of fun, silly, kind of like the fairy nail stuff. Like, it was going to be more for, hey, we're going to fill in some areas before we end up getting to the next actual arc, like the next major point in the story. And where we left off last chapter, obviously, like, his last chapter is kind of like the opposite of this chapter. The previous chapter, for the most part, was just like stuff going on with like the guild and like everything that's happening with the 100 Years quest. Nothing like that was really that out of the ordinary in terms of like what's going on in the chapters. So it was like, all right, pretty cool. We're just seeing where the characters are at right now, what they've been up to, and getting everyone up to speed on everything. I pretty much went down in both Edelus and Alantir. And it ended with the stuff with Diablos and Selene, whereas this chapter decided to go like more of the route of Selene focused, Diablos focused, and then ending with some stuff about like the main cast and what they're doing. So, previous chapter, Selene just decided that she was going to crush Georg like a damned grape, and completely, literally did crush him underfoot, like just smashed the dude. He's pretty much a puddle, and it like the thing about it is like Selene. Like, Selene is just obviously so powerful. It's like, what are these gonna do? I did like the part where she admits in this chapter that like there is a clear gap between her human form and her dragon form. As like, I would assume it's kind of like it's a general kind of like size and strength thing on top of it, like whatever your power is should be increased. But it's nice that we have like a full confirmation that like there is a gap between human form and dragon form, because before it was just one of those things where like we assumed the case, but we didn't have like a lot of characters like this who can kind of switch between an actual dragon and like a humanoid form. We had kind of like general takes that could give something like, oh, okay, well, this one's gonna be X stronger or whatever. But in regards to how this is all generally laying out, it's cool to see that Selene is actually a very reasonable character. Like, she's definitely like a little messed up in the head, but she's got a lot of kind of like stability to her in the way she behaves, because she doesn't just kind of like kill randomly or just massacre anybody that she clearly sees as valuable, like somebody that like can benefit her in some way, is like her whole deal. Like, she had the Moonlight Beauty Gods, and now she's got Diablos. And it's funny because I brought up in some of my reviews and predictions like the whole idea of her going in and gaining and obtaining new minions. I think I only said that like she could get Suzaku, like take control of Suzaku or something. But it seems like she's going to have all of Diablos at her disposal, which is going to be super crazy. So, talk more about that aspect in a second. Get back to the chapter itself. I do want to mention Suzaku's character arc is going real good so far. I've actually been super hyped about this character. Well, I was before we actually found out about his character, because like design-wise he's pretty sick. Chapter starts out, it's like right where it left off with like Georg as a puddle and Diablo's just not really sure what to do. I will say, so I got to do like a kind of like separate video on talking about the idea if Eleftheria has like the whole idea that people are saying like, oh, maybe could have the Phoenix power because it's like the four beast dragon slaying magic. And Suzaku does have the red color and the feathers, but I don't really know if it would kind of like really entail him to be more like a Phoenix, considering his magic is Sword Saint Dragon Slaying magic, not Phoenix Dragon magic or anything like that. But with what's going on right now, how everything is kind of like playing out, I don't really mind if Georg comes back. Like, legitimately, I think I personally win either way, because either Georg does come back, and we get to see Georg actually fight. We get to see some of his magic and whatnot, and how powerful he exactly is, because they stated he was stronger than Suzaku. So, if if he's got some form of regen, for one, he's not going to do it while Selene is here. It'd be really foolish if he ended up having regeneration and then decided to pretty much just reform. Because then, like, Selene, like, even the idea is, like, Selene couldn't kill him, because it'd be, oh, well, he'll just revive because of his magic. It's like, that doesn't really mean anything to Selene, because she can just send you to another dimension without any problem whatsoever. No issue to her. No, like, oh, well, I gotta do X, Y, or Z. It's like, no, she just does it. She just says, nope, sends you away. Sends you off on a one-way ticket to wherever the fuck she decides you're gonna go. But they're all kind of just freaking out. Like, everybody's real kind of worked up over, like, Georg getting smashed. I'm happy to see more Scoleon panels. I really want to see, like, another good Scoleon moment, like a good short fight. If we could see him just fighting some random fodders. I wish Machine would do that, actually. I wish, like, at some point in which a random fodder showed up, just big scale fodder, they're nothing more than big meaty tanks, and you get to see people like Scoleon just go to work. Just kind of like, as a, probably the best example I can think of is like in Bleach when the Vizards showed up, and all those Menos Grande are just running around, just doing their thing, and then you have all the Vizards just pull out their swords. The Hachi for some reason does, but he's got his Keto. Either way, something like that, where it's just like, hey, look, big monsters that are pretty much going to be here, so like characters can throw all their big attacks, and we can see them actually demonstrated before we get to like the fights where they're going to be vital and impossible. And like getting back to it, Selene like is pretty much she's checkmated these guys. There's nothing they can do, and Suzaku is just like, oh well, didn't you battle with me for real? Like, you just holding back and stuff. And she explains that like in her human form, Suzaku is stronger, but in her dragon form, she is much more powerful. Like, Suzaku can't do anything to her in her dragon form. And he's even saying, like, you know, I'm going to take revenge on the master and, you know, take you down right here. Let's go. And she's just like, yeah, no, it's done. Like, someone on your level, easy for me, like, as a dragon. Not a problem. You can try, but it's not going to go well for you. And she's even saying, like, you know, she's acknowledges Suzaku's strengths. She's saying killing him would be a waste. And when they're just kind of, like, talking about, like, essentially just Diablos, and she's like, you know, are the other people in the guild like Suzaku? And Madwell mentions there's 3 more, so it's actually pretty funny that like people have been right about the number 4 being their whole setup for a while. I think it was because of Suzaku's whole Phoenix attire, which again then also makes you wonder what Georg's was. Does he have one of all 4? Does he have aspects of all 4, or like what exactly was Georg's deal? That's one of those things though, like about Georg specifically, it reminds me a little bit of God Serena, where it's like you're gonna kill him off. At least let him throw around a couple of attacks. Like, we don't even see all of all of we don't even see all of the general abilities that they've got. Like what exactly was God Serena's other few elements? He had fire, water, wind, earth, and lightning, because there's part you see a little bit of lightning in his hand. So it's like, what about the 3 other elements? What exactly are they gonna do? Because Mishima just showed like a scene of Georg attacking someone or something, and it's just like him throwing each of the types of attacks at him, unless it's like not separate types, but it's more of like combined types into one super type or something of like what exactly 4 beast dragon slaying magic exactly does. Either way, Selene just has absolutely no care in the world. Suzaku's clearly not happy about it, and she's going to say, you know, I acknowledge your strength, you're good, but when they mention that there's the 3 others, she's like, you know, well, that's actually really impressive. There's 3 more people like Suzaku. You know, humans who have consumed dragon flesh are actually really powerful. Like, she's just doing her thing, just boasting them up a little bit, because, I mean, they're more powerful, I would assume, than a lot of dragons, but Selene is like one of the people at the tippy top, so you challenge Selene, it's really just gonna, like, your fate is pretty much gonna depend on what Selene feels like that day. But at whatever point you like run into Selene, she like has the pretty strong chance of probably just murdering you on sight. Like, people are probably annoying her just from being around her when she doesn't want them to. But that's when she decides, like, okay, well, I'm gonna be the new guild master, and obviously all of the characters there are like, what's going on? Like, what exactly are you planning? Like, they know that they're in a bad spot. Right now, it's like you're 3 dudes in a locked room with a tiger that is decently annoyed, but, like, you can't read its body language at all to tell if it's going to attack or whatever. But Suzaku's even saying, like, you know, you're going to ridicule my guild, and you go after him. And that's one of the things, like, about Suzaku. So Suzaku's backstory, it's like watching a tragic shonen main character, or at least a protagonist of some sort, who's got like their backstory that's like super sad and what put them to wherever they're at the time of. I feel like like all the stuff right now with Suzaku, I feel like that's just like kind of like his story in real time. Like, we're seeing as the chapters progress through this part of the story, that Suzaku's like a main character. Suzaku's like a main character. We're learning his shonen backstory, except he's obviously not a main character. He's like an important character now. Clearly, the Dragon Slayer Knights are all important. Which, by the way, we're gonna hopefully get them soon, because when she's mentioning like, oh, there's 3 more like Suzaku, and she clearly wants to have these other 3 present. I'm hoping that if we get them soon, like, I don't think it'll be next chapter. It could easily be like, that whole point of like the transitionary chapters, or is like where it's a little bit risky. But say that once we get to the next arc, either that or like soon, I mean, I'll be happy with next chapter if we could get just the name. Like, I just want to get the names, like appearances, and like the Dragon Slaying title for each of the other 3 members of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. I can be patient for them. Like, the gap between Suzaku reveal and Suzaku actually fighting is 16 chapters, which is forever when you realize those are bi-weekly, so it's more than half a year that I just sit there waiting. I mean, I waited for Scolion to actually show back up on screen for like a year, like, as well. So I can wait for the Black Dragon Slayer Knights to actually do stuff and actually get like their spotlight. If I can just get their names and their dragon slaying attributes, I'll be perfectly fine. Because I know they're all going to be weird. Like, Diablos has, like, super weird types. He has, sticky, ghost, freaking ash. You got sword saint. Like, there's obviously, like, a lot of strange ones. There's not the conventional regular elements like the previous generations of Dragon Slayers. Wait, but when Selene tells them to kneel, Kyria, like, I like Kyria, but like, recklessness can get you in a bad spot. Like, you just watch this chick murder your guildmaster, who's more powerful than the guy that you are sweating just to be near because he's so powerful in comparison to you. And Kyria decides to go for it. She's like, our guild is specialized in dragon hunting, and then that's when Selene just like has this look on her face, like, that's cute, okay, cool, and then just bam, teleports her away. Now, this is one of the things that I brought up many times, and why I wish people would really think more about like the fight between Selene and Suzaku, because Selene's portals are they're like one of the best powers like for her, because she's in a bad spot, like regardless of what the situation she's in, she can just teleport away. Selene doesn't really have to worry too much about like escape. She's teleport's gone, not even like somewhere else in the world. She just anywhere in space, including cross dimensions. So she's going to be hard to just generally catch. So if you can't deal with the portals once she starts spawning them, you're going to be looking for her for a long time, if any. Like, it'd be rare just to even run into her, I would assume. But she ends up just teleporting Kyria away in like a big puff of smoke, and the other members of the Elvis are obviously really upset. One thing to mention is, like, you see Madbull and Scolion, and they're like, but Suzaku looks actually really upset, and he's got these intensive lines around him. Now, one thing about Suzaku that I mentioned, I don't remember if it was in a video or stream or Twitter or whatever, but someone was saying that, like, oh, well, Suzaku can just get killed because this character is going to be important. It's like, well, one, Mishima clearly thinks this character is going to be important because he's been giving him a lot of good spotlight, and I don't think for a second Mishima would make him so likable in comparison to, like, the Fairy Tail Guild members, if he was just going to end up kind of killing him off or getting rid of him. Because, like, he values his comrades. He's clearly, like, when he's not on the job, he's polite and friendly. He's kind of goofy with, like, the whole thing about, like, staying naked and stuff. Like anything that might be a little bit inappropriate, he seems to think is hilarious. So it's like Mishima made him in a way that he actually would get along with the Fairy Tail Guild. Especially the whole part about how he cares about his guild, cares about the other members, and he's just genuinely a nice dude to them, and it seems to treat them well. Like, that's somebody that, like, they should probably want over in Fairy Tail, like, ASAP, and, you know, try and get him in there, especially with Diablos under new management. But Kyria's teleported away, and she brings up, like, don't worry, I didn't kill her. I pretty much just sent her to another plane of existence. And it's like, I don't hate tomboyish girls. She's apparently she's got a thing for her, maybe. I feel like Selene is probably bisexual, though. I feel like she is. Like, some of her just general comments, and then you have, like, the whole server girls, specifically, coming and giving them food during the whole party. And Like here, she just goes right back in her human form and explains things. She's like, I don't hate tomboyish girls, but like, she's fine. And that's when like, like give Kira to us, like give her back, kind of stuff. Like quit trying to steal our friend. And she's just saying like depends on your response. You acknowledge as your master, you can have the girl back. And Suzaku seems to be all right with that. Like, well, not all right with that. He seems like that's just a fair trade-off to him. I would assume a girl for like what? Not nothing, but you know what I mean. It's just a little odd. Well, I guess it just depends. Either way, she's just saying like acknowledge me as your guild master. Suzaku's hesitant. He doesn't really know what to do. And she's like, hey, I've got good news for you on the dragons that you seek. And I'm just looking for attention. I'm just looking for assistance. And they're asking like, what exactly are you out for? Like, what exactly are you gaining by doing this? And she's explaining like, oh well, distortion. Like distortion gives rise to power. A dragon who consumes them and then will join the hands of the other dragons. Like pretty much, dragon, you're just teaming up with dragons, and it's like that kind of distortion is going to result in the power of the world. So, right, like it's a little weird. Like I want to know exactly where her plans are really going to go, because right now Selene is just a little iffy because we don't know for a fact whether or not she's going to like if she's actually going to follow up with anything she really says. But he's saying like, okay, well they're going to use the dragon slayers to help defeat these dragons, and they're even saying like, well, why don't you defeat these dragons as like your own? Like, what's your purpose to defeat these dragons on top of everything else? She's like, there are 4 dragons in the world who stand in my way. Obviously, talking about the other dragon gods, and saying like, Alderaan is dead, and Mercephobia lost his power, and so is the human. So there's still at least 3, and I don't really know exactly what we're gonna find out Viernes. I wonder if we're gonna get Viernes first or the Black Dragon Slayer Knights first. My guess is Viernes. I mean, his whole design is already set up. I would assume for the most part. I guess it would really depend on what exactly they might switch or something. But she's saying like, the pretty much Viernes and Ignia are the problem, and as long as they're killed, the world will not be complete. And she said, a world that she's going for is a world devoid of dragons, like a world for only humans. And that was a little weird at first, but saying, what would you gain from that? She's like, she's pretty much saying she's going to live as a human, and she wants to be the most powerful human by doing that in the process. And now, like, she pretty much even says, like, the Age of Dragons ended 400 years ago. When Akinlogia went on his rampage, there's nothing that they could have really done to stop him, so, like, their only option was to go out to some random island and then hope he never shows up. Well, they're doing the thing and just kind of talking where she's like, it's truly the end of the Age of Dragons, just having general conversation. She's going to say, well, 400 years ago, the 5 of us kept each other in check while distorting the world because their strength is perfectly balanced. Pretty much just saying, like, they're all equal and stuff. If we were to collide, the worst situation of mutual destruction could occur. Furthermore, someone have aimed to profit from fighting, such as the case. So she's just doing her thing. She's thinking smart. He's like, well, what she realizes the key to winning battle is the humans, because they're like, oh, you have a strength to defeat Viernes and Ignia. They're like, they don't believe in exactly what she's saying. She's like, they don't believe in the strength humans possess, but she's different. After she saw Suzaku's capabilities and whatnot, and saying that she's got work, so she's going to need their help to pretty much change the world and then fix stuff up to her liking. At that point, when Suzaku's just like, what, you're an enemy, you're not my master whatsoever. And Selene's a little bug-eyed, like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but you ate my son. Just like this spooky Selene face reminder, clearly her not happy. And now, like, she's even bringing up the fact that Gior got splattered like some gum. And dude is just not having a good day. Now he's being walked in high heels. That's when they like bring back Kyria, and she's like, defeating Viernes and Ignia is one thing, but there's still someone that they want to go after. It's like, I will be your opponent as many times as you like, though pretty much the Suzaku, if he cooperates, saying, if you guys get this done, you can fight me whenever you want. I don't really mind. And then she just says like, oh, but until then, you serve me, and like we'll be allies, and be proud. You should feel you should feel quite superior with a dragon at your back. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, she could just fly in and pretty much solo the whole place, I would assume. Because what are they going to do? Shoot her with, like, an ether gun? And Suzaku is not doing too good. The dude is worried. Like, after that, he's just like, I'll agree. And everybody else is just kneeling and getting down. Whereas she just says, I don't know if I want to. And because of that, she ends up just being Selene, being a little crazy. And they're like, just like, bring Suzaku and the others, and those of his rank together. So, now they're going to meet up. I'm guessing we're going to get them next chapter 2, which is obviously super hype. I can't wait to see where that whole bit leads to and what exactly like Mishima is doing with Selene. Because Selene's whole character has been really sick. So, her getting to a point where we can actually get more insight on her it's pretty much going to be fantastic. Because, like, I really like Selene, but, like, I'm not going to lie where it's like, well, Selene has so much character stuff. It's like, we barely know anything about her character other than her sons and stuff. I am wondering if after this chapter, while she seems to know a lot about humans and clearly have some form of affection towards humans, that she might have some form of past that leads her to want to be human or something. Maybe being human was like in her brain, how she could escape certain aspects of life. It's just like humans in general, and I like how much fun they can have and just do stuff. Because one thing that humans have that the dragons in Fairy Tail don't have is that humans have, they have like a community and stuff in their whole general kind of like adjacent space that would make sense to have. Like anything of like humans and their general interactions with others. Like, it's not even like big ones, just kind of like basic ass kind of back and forth. Doesn't really happen with dragons. It seems like dragons are, in Fairy Tail especially, well, I guess not especially, because some of the dragons go and talk to other people, but just the whole idea of like the Western dragon stuff. Like, these guys have gold and treasure that they want to be guarded, that they don't want anyone to take, and lucky for them, people always want pretty much just what they got. Like, anything snack wise, for some reason there's always some group of kids that are gonna keep chasing forever. But with Selene, now she's just saying, like, okay, this first thing you're going to do, gather the Black Dragon Serenites. So I'm hoping we see their designs in the next chapter. But somewhere between 1 to 3 chapters, I prefer next chapter. Because, like, at least if the week after that is on, like, well, I guess not week, but, like, the chapter after this next one is going to, like, I wouldn't mind if we get the Black Dragon Serenites, and then immediately following that chapter, we get, like, filler for a good chunk. I wouldn't mind that much, because I really want to see that design. Well, they're going to say, like, going to go kill Eleftheria because of what happened. He's a dragon that can turn into a human, but he's not entirely a dragon. And Selene's going to say, like, she could kill him herself, but she wants to send them to do it because they want to see, like, what exactly their power is like. If there's 4 of them, I was, like, going to advocate for this old dude's death. Did they mention him real quick? Yeah, let me scroll back really fast. I don't think so. I don't think they mentioned... Oh, wait, no. What am I talking about? Eleftheria. Why am I so brain dead right now? Either way, like, if he ends up kind of coming down, he better be careful. Because, like, things are not going to be looking good for Eleftheria whatsoever. Especially with Selene. He might as well just go somewhere out into space and hide. But it wouldn't surprise me if, after doing that, we found out Selene can breathe in space. Or something equally as unfair the second that she starts doing it when you're in a current situation like that. Then it's back to, like, the main cast, like I said. You're seeing them just kind of, like, chatting for a second and then, like, waving bye to everybody as they go back on the 100 Years quest. Taking, the regular characters that they already had. It's a shame they couldn't, while they were there, they couldn't take Godchill or Laxus. Because, like, that's a huge plus to whatever situation you're in. They're both really strong. So... I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah, Godchill's really strong. Godchill's pretty tough. So it's like Elfman, but Elfman's obviously real slow. But now they're, like, kind of just regathering themselves, saying, like, okay, we've got no clues on Selene, so what are we going to do now? And Urza says that they should go back to visit Eleftheria to get more leads. Obviously, that being what would normally, I would assume, start heading towards, like, finding the SELENE'S and finding Ignia and stuff, or figuring out how to way to summon them to you. I'm pretty sure now they're gonna have to run into Selene again at some point soon. Probably not some point like soon, but you know, soon in terms of like the series is like a bi-weekly. Like if we can get it by like chapter 100, I'll be pretty stoked. Outside of that, like the chapter was really good. There's a lot of stuff in there I want to do individual videos on when it comes to just the dialogue during the stuff between like Selene and the Dragon Eaters and how that was all going down, because like she definitely was commanding the room and pretty much just telling everybody like they better watch their damn tones. So Selene, thank you for making the chapter super hype. Best girl stays being best girl, like I've been saying. But as it is, this chapter was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope that we can get more stuff like this. Like whenever we get something that's like going to be a filler, I'm hoping that filler is always going to have something to do with like regular characters, like giving them their own stuff. Or like with the transitionary chapters in Fairy Tail generally have more to do with kind of like fun silliness, and it's usually less than like focusing on like little character bits, because we get that the main story like all the time. So I feel like more fun makes more sense, and it's probably perfectly okay for them to just kind of do their general thing. After which, like, we talk about, like, this kind of, like, general content of the chapter, what's going on between, like, the characters, and what we plan on doing, well, I guess what Mishima plans on doing exactly with them, with the members of the main cast, pretty much entirely. Especially, like, if they're going to run into Eleftheria. I feel like that if they run into Eleftheria, Eleftheria is either going to be, by the time they get there, he's going to be so damaged that they can't do anything about it, or by the time they get there, they're going to kind of split up in, like, groups 1v1 for the most part. And maybe you can have, like, Lucy and Wendy. Well, actually, I mean, I guess it depends if Selene's going. I don't think Selene's going. But if, like, you send Wendy in there, Wendy can disarm somebody. It's going to be difficult because you're going to have, not Ash. You're going to have one of the fish, and you're going to have the Black Dragon Slayer Knights all kind of there. So it's going to be one kind of just big cluster of mayhem once the characters actually arrive. Before we get to the actual plot itself, like those dudes are going to want to sit down for some reason. And right now, I got some plans for some future videos, and I can't wait to see exactly, you know, what I can think of off of this chapter. There's already a couple that I have planned that I thought of while reading it that I'm really hyped to talk about. But for now, I just want to pretty much just reset my clock for 2 weeks, and we'll get to a new chapter in 2 weeks from now. I would say, though, I'm not expecting it, because I feel like the transitionary chapter is due. Just guessing, because obviously we're done with Edelis and Elantir, pretty much the Elantir, because we barely know Edelis. And then heading over to, you know, wherever the characters are going next, and whatever the sequence of, like, them departing where they're at now and to getting over to where they're going. I would be super happy if Mishima said that, you know, we're not going to do any of that right now. Or at the very least, please, after he shows the Black Dragon Slaying Knights. I just want their title and their name. That's all I require. Obviously, also what they look like, because that'll just add to it. That'll be really cool. If I get those 3 things, I'll be solid. I don't need any other kind of general information. I'm pretty fine with what, you know, what we can get, as long as, you know, what we get is workable around. Like, we can just do it just enough for that. So, like I said, solid chapter, really good. I can't wait to do some videos on exactly like what was going on with Selene and her character and stuff, and obviously taking over Diablos, my theories on her backstory. And then Suzaku is really cool. Suzaku is probably the best new character to be introduced in 100 Years Quest. Like, his whole story feels like a shonen protagonist background that we're seeing happen as the chapters go by, like in the current event of the story. So that's pretty cool. I definitely like seeing more of Suzaku. So if we can get him to join the guild too, kind of like Jalal, I mean, that'd be a big plus, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, like this, unfortunately, we gotta wait, like what, like for, I think it's 6 days, 12 hours or something, 6 days, 14 hours, and then we can get back to the actual chapter, get back to the actual, like, big well, I don't know if the next chapter is gonna be, like, a big chapter and big content. It might just be kind of funny. Either way, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm gonna be stoked either way. I'm always happy to see more Fairy Tail chapters, and especially when we get stuff like this, man, super hype. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But than that, I appreciate. I'm sorry, subscribe there. Thank you all for listening. Bye.